Hey. Who's ready to vote? Hey, bitch. Who's ready to vote? Who's ready to learn? Sorry, it's a little bit dark in here, you guys. Hey, girl, hey. I'm in the studio right now working on the second album, so I had to make shift one of the studio rooms into a panel room. There's just that I just got that out of my head. Who's ready to vote? Welcome back, everyone. Hey, P. Welcome back, you guys. For those of you who have participated in one of these Instagram lives before, if you haven't, this is the I Am a New Voter Instagram live, where I'm Hey Mill, where I'm bringing on different specialists every week, every Wednesday at this time to give us a little bit more insight on the voting process and what we're voting on and what voting looks like and who the fuck these people are that we're voting for and what they even do. Hey, Ricky, miss you. So that's what I've been doing. It's called I'm a New Voter because whether you're a new voter, this is your first time voting, or you voted before, I want to make people feel like that it is their first time because they're finally understanding what it is to truly vote for what you believe in, because I had no idea what the fuck I was voting on before. I had a really difficult time voting for my first time in the 2016 election. I wasn't able to vote because I never got my absentee ballot, so I felt like it was all my fault when Trump got elected, and I wanted to make sure that there weren't other people that were in the same boat as me. So that's why we're here today. Who's ready to vote? Let me put Ballot Ready in here. As some of you guys know, ballotready.org is an amazing resource that I've been using to build my ballot. If you don't know, it is a website that I just pinned right there, and you can learn about all the propositions, all the different candidates that are running, and what they stand for, and it gives like real quotes and articles, letting you know exactly what they stand for and what they do. And you can build it and study it and have it for when you're voting. If you're voting at home, you can literally have it on your person. On your person. I said that like I'm a fucking 50-year-old. So yeah, Ballot Ready. If you haven't registered to vote yet, please, time is running out. Go register to vote. My website has a registration form with I Am a Voter. It's kianaledé.com/vote. So go there and register if you haven't done it already. And if you haven't, you're a fucking procrastinator. Do it now. All right, today I'm bringing on Jamira. She was recognized by the Obama White House as a champion of change and a Forbes Under 30 honoree in law and policy. Jamira leads with expertise on workforce development, social justice, youth engagement, education reform, and corporate social responsibility to reshape communities and disrupt the status quo. Yes, bitch. In 2018, Jamira was the first United States citizen awarded the Global Leadership Award for Vital Voices and selected as an MIT Media Lab Fellow. Wow. Today, she works as a next-gen social impact consultant, also as head of youth engagement and skills for the Global Business Coalition for Education, working to create collaborative relationships among youth agencies, governments, and business leaders to enable new ways to educate, engage, and activate young people around the world. For information, follow her on Twitter and Instagram at Jamira Burley. That's Burley. I'm going to bring her on. Or you can visit www.jamiraburley.com. Before I bring Jamira on, I just wanted to remind you guys, this is an open forum. Like, I really just want everyone to be able to ask questions about the government. And if I don't ask a question that you want to be answered, please put it in the questions and answer thingy. Whatever that thing's called. So I haven't figured it out. Maybe Jamira can answer that question too. Please answer that, and then please ask your question there, and if I see it, I will have Jamira answer. Today we're talking about props. I never said that, sorry. Hey,
Hi.
how you doing?
Is it Friday yet?
Is it? I actually don't know.
I
What's
wish it was. It's not.
Oh, damn. See, I'm in the studio every day and there's no windows, so I kind of go crazy and
Like a
forget.
casino, you forget the time of the day.
Exactly. I have no idea what time it is, no idea what day it is. I don't even know if I'm really alive anymore most of the time. I'm like, where am I? Yeah,
Well, you're doing the Lord's work. Make the music so we can all be in the happy places that we're trying to get. So give us what we need.
thank you. You are doing the Lord's work too. I mean, your bio is incredible. You're incredible. You are such an inspiration to me.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I was like, oh my God, who told her to read that?
um, do you have anything you want to say before we get into these questions?
I mean, the only thing I would say is that, for everyone is a first time voter, and you shouldn't be ashamed of not knowing. We all had to learn through this process. And I think one of the biggest things I find with first time voters are just people who are afraid to vote is that they're afraid to look stupid and ask questions. But see this as a safe zone. You can ask us all the stupid questions you have, or all the stupid questions you have, and we'll try to find answers. But we're all in this together, just trying to navigate a very unnecessarily complicated system.
Amazing. And you guys, again, ask any questions that you have. Like she said, even after this, I will be posting this Instagram live on my page as usual with time codes. So the answers are easy to find. If you want to ask me any questions, DM me. I'm probably just going to send you to Jameer's way because you'll probably have a better understanding than I will
Teamwork.
or to learn. um, okay, cool. Are you cool if I get into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. Okay. My first question, I always started out with this one. What the fuck is a prop?
So a prop is for those who don't know, a proposition. If you've ever voted before, or when you vote, there is a list of answers at the end of each candidate that you select. And those answers, or those questions, I should say, are questions that are normally put there by everyday citizens. It is the only direct democracy that we have. For instance, normally policy and legislation is proposed by the legislator, so elected officials. But this is actually an opportunity for everyday citizens to navigate and get signatures around their city, around their state, and put a piece of legislation up for vote. And so, yeah, it's just a question, and that question can then lead to potentially a legislation if voted on by a certain percentage of folks within that area.
And how does it get put? Like, if let's just start from the beginning. Say I wanted to make a prop. Can
Mm-hmm.
I make a prop? Am I qualified to
Yeah.
make a prop?
Yeah,
Okay.
if you are an eligible voter in your specific district, city, state, you as a citizen can make a prop. Making a prop is basically any individual organization could then make a filing with the state or city, and if that filing is approved, you then make a summary of the question or the piece of legislation you want to propose. That government then requires you to get a certain number of signatures from the city. They verify the signatures and then they put it up on the ballot, and then that's voted in by the everyday people. So people listening in, if you have a piece of legislation in mind, you could get enough signatures to actually make it law.
Got you. So it's kind of like a school petition. Like, did you ever do school
Yeah,
petitions in high
yeah, I did. I
school?
didn't make the cut, but yeah, I did.
Damn. Well, I mean, now's your chance, girl. Look, we can
I
all make
know.
our life. Yeah, I mean, that's really cool. So anyone that is a registered voter can make a petition
Mhm.
or make a, what is it called? An
You
answer.
can form a question to file to make a ballot question on the for election day. Yeah. So it varies from state to state, but normally the process is the same. So you have an idea, you then go and make a filing with the state. The state reviews it to make sure that it adheres to all of the city and state laws. And then if it does, they ask you to make a summary and a title. After
Mm.
you do that, you get the number of signatures, they verify the signatures, and then they put it on the ballot for a percentage of voters to actually vote it into law.
And are props and measures the same thing?
The exact same thing. It's just called different things depending on the state or city, or it's oftentimes just called a question, a ballot question.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah,
Um,
they try to make it hard. It's not. Oftentimes it's not that difficult.
yeah,
Sadly enough.
one just doesn't like agree on one word that's easy to understand for everyone for everything. Like the one that pissed me off the most was gubernational. Like
Yeah.
that's so stupid. Like just say governor. It's really not that one like
Especially
really
because I can't really say it, so I'm not going to repeat it.
exactly. That shit pissed me off. Like I was like, I'm ready to start this fucking campaign because of this word here.
Exactly. I think we should start a question for
Yeah.
it.
To change the name. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Okay, and then how does a prop or a measure differ from a law?
So it's actually the same thing in the sense that the prop eventually becomes a law. So the two tracks you have is that the legislator normally writes a piece of legislation, right? And then they take it directly to the floor. And that's where the House, the Senate votes on that particular piece of legislation. And then it becomes law. Then if the people put a question up, it's voted on at the ballot, that becomes law. So it's
Mm,
just two different paths, and they're created by two separate groups of people. One, the individual citizen, the other, the legislators who have voted into office. I should also mention a prop isn't always just to formulate a new piece of legislation or a new idea. It's oftentimes to get rid of something that's on the books that shouldn't be there, right?
oh,
So if we think about the Voters' Right Act, or we think about how Black folks were once considered two-fifths of a person, all of those things were to get a current existing law off the books. I should also mention that a prop can also be used to actually impeach a legislator. So if you get enough signatures, you can put a question to impeach a legislator on the ballot, and that can remove them from office before their term. So it's for a new idea to erase an old idea or to get someone removed from office.
wow. Okay. And if you want to like edit a law, can you do that, or is it just removing a law can be a
You
prop?
can make changes to it. So you can propose a change to a piece of legislation through a prop. Yes.
Is that the same as an amendment or no?
Amendment is normally going through the legislator, so they make an amendment to a law, and then if it's voted in as your question, then that's the amendment that happens. So yeah, it's technically the same thing, just different processes to getting there. But yeah.
Wow. Okay. And are there national and state and local props? Like, will we be on the 2020 ballot voting for or voting on props that have to do with everyone or just our
No.
state? Local?
So actually, props or questions or measures, same thing. Um, there's no national, so they're actually not even a nationally recognized not a nationally recognized process in the sense that cities have to make it law that these things exist, and then states have to make it law. It's actually only approved in, like, I think 30 something plus states that you can propose a prop or a measure. And so yeah, when you vote for president, you'll see props, but that those props are only related to your state. They don't reference the national. So for instance, there was a prop in California that specifically focused on marijuana in California. We know federally it's still against the law, but it was able to change a law in California.
Okay. And are there props for like Orange County or is it just California?
No, yes, cities or counties can have their own individual props. Yes.
Wow. Okay. And okay. Okay. So there are some for local. So when you said that the sorry, this is my processing is
Yeah, no, it's good questions.
so when you said that there are not props, some states recognize props and some don't. Are there some people that vote and there's no props on their ballot?
Yeah. Like for
What?
instance, I can't remember the list of states, but there are about almost like a dozen of states that don't have any props at all. That only laws can be changed through the legislator.
I
I
didn't
want
know.
to say it's like 36 states that allow you to make props or measures through the citizen. Because what it's called direct democracy. So it's where the citizen has direct ability to make a law. And that's only recognized in about 30 plus states. Not every state has the ability. But
Do
you
you
can fight for that.
that don't do that? That don't have props in their
Mm-hmm.
ballot?
Like if you look up on the ballot website that you mentioned earlier, like if you put in New York, there's no props.
They don't have it in New York?
There's no props. Yeah, there's no props listed at all. Versus like California has like 10 props, right?
Wow, I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like that direct democracy is like
I mean,
That's
now that you know it exists, it's like, why doesn't everyone have it? Why shouldn't everyone be able to write some legislation and get a vast amount of majority or a percentage of the population to agree?
wow. That just really blew my mind. So, I mean, either way you look at it, voting is super fucking important because you're either going to get to vote on something that your community believes in,
Mm-hmm.
and wants changed or wants to happen, or you're going to be voting for somebody who's making all the decisions for you. So either way, it's really important.
Hell yeah. I mean, I feel when people get anxious and they say, I don't really do politics, it seems complicated. Politicians all look like they're corrupt. Fair. I always thought about politics as I am voting for my opponent. I am voting for the person I want to collaborate with and who I can push. So I'm not voting for a savior. And I think if you go into it with the mindset of who who is more likely to listen to me, right? Who is more likely to take good information and maybe change their mind? And I think versus like imagining that someone is going to believe every single thing that you believe, that's
Right.
unlikely. We're all human and we all make mistakes.
Wow. That's a really good way to put it.
Yeah.
Okay. My next question is, and maybe this is a stupid question, but this is the point of this whole thing.
No stupid questions.
Okay. Where did they get the numbers? Like Prop 22, where did they get 22 from? They just made that up?
That's actually, I don't know. Yeah, it's oftentimes just made up, but it's oftentimes related to how many props they already have on the ballot. So, right, there might be, if there's Prop 21, there's probably a Prop 20, Prop 19. So it's all, what is the word? It's not alphabetical. It's like numeral.
Oh, numerical,
Yes. So
right?
it's all about when people ballot, what number is listed on the ballot. But yes, sometimes you can also choose your own depending on the state.
I'm gonna make one and just put 8 because it's my number. I'm like, is this
I support it. I'm not a California voter, but I support that.
if there's okay, so can there be, I don't know if you know the answer to this, but can there be multiple 8s, multiple 22s? There
I don't
can't be.
know.
Not in that year. What about in another year though?
Yeah, in another year you can have it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because eventually that prop becomes a law, so it's no longer considered that prop, if that makes sense.
Yes, that makes complete sense. Okay. And can you tell us about stateside.com?
Yeah, so stateside.com is one of my favorite tools, especially when I'm like talking to people about issues that are state related. It is the best tool you can utilize to learn more about who's running in your state, who's running federally, and curious about where they've previously voted, the issues that they stand on. And you can also put in your information regarding your address and your zip code, and they'll print you out an entire ballot. So that way, when you go to the voting booth, which is extremely intimidating process, right? There's noise happening. There's people with printers. There's like machines everywhere. It allows you to be prepared. It allows you to have the knowledge you need to make a conscious decision that is representative of your own personal needs and your community needs. And so I would encourage everyone to utilize it. It's a free tool. It's so much information on there, and it prevents you from going to Google and just typing in an answer and getting so confused by the
Mm,
mundane false information. Right? There's a lot of false information out there, but that's a very credible source, and it's free.
amazing. And when we go and we vote, if you're a first time voter, for the people who have never seen a ballot before in their lives, what does it look like on the ballot to like vote for a prop? Is it different in every state or?
It varies, but what you will notice is that when you go and vote, oftentimes your information is already added, right? So it's not like you have to write your name in. So that information is already added, and then the first few things you'll see is actually like for this, because we're voting for 2020, you'll see like the president. So it'll have the most senior position, and then it'll like go to the least senior position, which will probably be some election in your particular state, someone who's running for federal office,
Right.
or if there's a special election, a mayor, right? And then underneath that will be all of the questions related. Take your time. No one is rushing you. You have time to read every single prop that is offered. It's normally less than a paragraph of a description. So even if you wanted to like pull your phone out quickly and Google something, you can do that. Like don't my aunt always told me when I was learning to drive is like drive at your own speed. And I think you should vote at your own speed. And so yeah, at the bottom, at the last thing you'll fill out would normally be like the prop questions, and they'll have like a title, a summary, and then you can say yes or no.
Amazing. Yeah, that's
Read them. Don't unlike many people who are like Democrats, like vote down ballot Democrat or vote down ballot Republican. I don't do that. Don't read the prompts because some of them can also be extremely harmful to you. There's some crazy hating ass people out there who are also trying to put really bad legislation. So read it before you say yes.
yes. And like you said, they have a description on there. So
Yeah.
just fucking read it. Don't be lazy. Like,
Yeah.
just do
Or
it.
ask someone before you go and then let them explain it to you so that way, because you know, I'm referring like people may not know how to read, right? That might be a real thing. Ask someone, have a conversation with them, Google it. Like, I'm sure there's videos out there that talks about props, especially California. If you YouTube it, someone is explaining the prop in California. And
Mm,
then go in there prepared and say, I read up on it already and I can, you know, just answer it.
amazing. Okay, I want to do something a little bit different this Instagram live.
Ooh.
The props, we are really just this one subject. So can we just get into some specific important props?
Yeah.
Talk about them.
Mm-hmm.
You gave me a list of a few, so I'm just gonna literally have you explain them to the audience and to me because this is why we're here. Okay, Medicaid expansion. Tell us about that.
Whew. Okay, so what we know is that through Obamacare, there was a lot of federal funding dollars that were offered to the states. Many states, particularly Republican states, were like, no, we don't want that money, right? As a way to kind of show their allegiance to the orange man in chief. That being said, a lot of states, because leadership has changed, are now putting for props, particularly those represented by the city, asking for Medicaid to be expanded to ensure that the elderly, the poor can have access to social resources. So everything from food stamps to rent assistance. And so there are a number of states, and including, I believe, California, that are one of the questions on the ballot is around Medicaid. And
Mm,
so it's just asking, do citizens believe in the expansion of it, receiving those federal dollars that were already offered and that are basically just sitting there waiting to be used?
And this is in multiple states. Are the
Yeah.
props the same? Like, are the questions
No,
going
no,
to
no. They vary state to state. So you should definitely, depending on the state you're in, read it. Some states have a specific number. Some states have a specific like timeline, year. So it varies. But for the most part, if it's about Medicaid expansion, it's normally for the affirmative. So it's for increasing those benefits.
got you? Okay, the next one is legalizing marijuana.
Yes, everyone get your Mary Jane. So there, as we know, you have California, you have, I believe, Seattle. Is it Denver? There's a handful of states who have all legalized marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
Are offering to expand legalizing marijuana.
Wait, wait,
Huh?
sorry. Rewind one sentence. It muted for a sec.
Oh, someone was calling me. What I was saying is though that we know that over the last few years, legalizing marijuana has happened in a handful of states, and so the trend is growing nationally. So there are a number of states that are asking. I can't remember which states, but they're asking to now legalize it to ensure that one, if you're using it for recreation, you're not being criminalized for it. And two, there are some props that are even saying that, you know, if we're legalizing, how can we ensure that we show retribution and the
Mm-hmm.
healing and reconciliation to communities that have been over policed for so long by that? So yeah, you know, I'm for legalizing marijuana. That's just my lifestyle. But if you want to learn more about it, there's a number of information out there around what does legalization specifically mean, because it's not just about like we're going to let the drug cartels come in. It's actually something very specific to an industry that will benefit almost millions of dollars being filtered in through taxes into your economy.
See? So whether you use it medically, whether you just like to use it for fun,
Recreationally.
yeah, recreationally, or if you just a stoner, you should be both.
We support all of you and you should
Please
all.
support everyone. Support weed. We love it. Okay, voter access requirements.
Okay, so California is like on it. But California actually has one piece of legislation that will allow 17-year-olds the ability to vote, right? So as of now, we know, I know, right? As of now, we know that many states you have to be 18 to register and to participate in the process. But California was like, fuck it. If young people are educated, we're giving them adult priorities, they should also be a part of the political process. So they're now trying to lower the voting age. And that's happening in many states that are like, actually, we should lower it to as low as 16 years old for young people to be able to vote. And then also, there's some props out there that are trying to make voting easier. Right. So increasing voting booths in communities, ensuring that information is made simpler and more accessible to folks. And then also expanding the right to vote to formerly incarcerated citizens. There are millions of people who have lost their ability to vote depending on their state because they have a felony, because they've previously been incarcerated for marijuana, right? And so there are some props that are now asking to provide to restore those voting rights back to formerly incarcerated folks.
Wow, that's amazing. It's cool to know that you can make a prop and vote on a prop that has to do with voting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. I mean, we should design. I mean, it's our country, so why can't we design the systems that benefit us?
Yeah, and we're gonna be the ones who are making the prop. So
Mm-hmm.
that's very cool. Okay, rent control.
I mean, gentrification is a real damn thing, right? So we know that a lot of Black and urban areas are trendy for middle class white folks. And so communities like, for instance, like Harlem are becoming hella gentrified, which means that a more wealthier prestige community comes in, they start ripping up the culture in the community, and it rises the price of rent. And so what many people are asking regarding rent control is that there is a limited amount that landlords can raise the rent each year, and it has to be based on a percentage of what they're currently paying, right? So if I'm paying $2,000 now for rent, I know, girl, don't give me that look. It's depressing. If I'm paying $2,000 now, my landlord can only raise my rent to a certain percentage that makes sense for where the economy is, right? So realistically, he can't raise it from $2,000 to $4,000. He would have to keep it. I think in New York, or I think it's like, I forgot what it is, but it is the percentage he can only raise in it. So for instance, my rent has only went up $25 in 3 years versus like $100 or $300 or $1,000. So rent control is all about cities putting specific numbers and projections on the books that prevent for poor working class folks from being pushed out of their neighborhoods because they can no longer afford the rent because of this more affluent, rich population moving in.
Right. Wow. You guys, I'm sure you guys know what gentrification is, but if you don't, a really great movie to watch is called Blind Spotting. They tackle topics on like gentrification and police brutality and things like that in Oakland, in the Bay. It's a great movie. My friend Rafa did an amazing job, and David Diggs. They are so incredible. So if you want to learn more information in a really artistic, beautiful way, go watch Blind Spotting. Okay, next, stand your ground laws.
So so we remember a few, I don't know why I'm smiling, I guess to not cry. So we remember a few years ago with the murder, assassination of Trayvon Martin. One of the laws that would enabled for George Zimmerman to get off is that Florida has a stand your ground law, which basically allows for anyone to say if they feel like they're in imminent danger, it allows for them to use deadly force to harm someone else. We know racially that has been used specifically against people of color. And so many people are trying to get stand your ground laws off the books to stop racist folks from being able to utilize it to kill Black and brown folks. And so Trayvon Martin is a prime example of how that law was used to allow a racist to get off, and how folks are still trying to use it. I believe in the Jordan Davis case as well, a young man who was shot in his car by a white man who didn't like the fact that he was playing rap music, also claimed to be using the Stand Your Ground statue as a defense. And so we need to remove laws like that off the books that inherently are harmful to our communities.
Yeah, and again, like, this isn't a party thing either. This is a human rights thing, and it's a human right to be able to be Black and live in this country. So I really think that stand your ground is I mean, an important thing to get off the books. Are there any states besides Florida that have stand your ground that you know of?
I want to say there's like, I want to say Texas has it. It's normally like in the South, right? Like it's normally like in the South that those kind of laws specifically pertains to. But I know there's like at least almost a dozen states that allow stand your ground statues in some form or fashion, even if it's not called stand your ground.
Right. So check stateside.com, check ballot ready, check and see if anyone has put this on the ballot, because it's important.
And also, there's an organization called Dream Defenders that's based out of Florida. They specifically have been fighting against Stand Your Ground, and I'm sure they have resources that list what other states also are practicing similar trash policies.
Oof. Okay. Um, okay, cash bail.
So cash bail is basically a way to incarcerate the poor. If we remember, there was a young man. Oh, what is his name? I can't remember his name, and I'm really mad at myself. But there was a young man in New York who was arrested because they thought he stole a backpack. High school student that was arrested because they thought he stole a backpack. Right? He was arrested. He was kept in solitary confinement. He was kept in prison in Rikers, an adult prison. He was like, I want to say he was like 16, 17 for
Oof.
3 years because he could not pay bail. He was never convicted. He was never arraigned. He received no justice. So for 3 years, because he couldn't pay bail, he was kept in incarceration. That is the story of actually thousands of Americans in prison right now. They haven't been convicted of a crime. They haven't admitted to any crime. And oftentimes the crime that they're being claimed to have committed isn't even a violent crime. And yet they have spent months, sometimes years behind bars because they are poor. And so the ability to try to get rid of cash bond is to say that the legal system should not be incarcerating folks just for the simple fact that they are poor. If you're going to incarcerate folks, and we can have a larger conversation around this, let it be because they have actually committed a crime in which they themselves have been perceived guilty for. That hasn't happened. And so trying to eliminate cash bonds is to basically say we shouldn't be arresting Khalif Briars. Yes, thank you for adding that. We shouldn't be arresting people and keeping them in prison for years because they're poor.
Right. And who knows when they're going to go to trial, because unfortunately the system is very slow and
Trash.
unfair.
Yeah.
So who knows if they're even going to go to trial and get a fair trial at that. So yeah, definitely. Oh, that's heavy.
It's
Wow.
heavy stuff. Why everyone should show up, because otherwise you have people making laws about your life that you have no say in.
No saying. 100%. All right. And the last one is funding for public services like schools and libraries and roads.
Yeah, I mean, so prime example, people say I don't do politics. Well, politics does you. Every single aspect of your life
Ooh,
is defined by a piece of
wow.
legislation.
Say it again.
I will. No, I won't know. But if you don't do politics, but politics does you. It's very similar to like if you're not at the table, you're on the menu, right? So every single aspect of your life, regardless if you want to think about it, from your potholes to how many recreation centers are in your neighborhood, to the curriculum that's taught in your schools, to the lunch that's served in schools, like every aspect of your life is defined by a legislation. And there are many props out there that are actually trying to fund institutions that are typically underfunded, right? So how can we put more money into schools? How can we put more money into public safety in non-traditional ways? So when I say public safety, I don't just mean police. I also mean like medical assistance and like mental health. And so there are a number of props out there that isn't just about like, how do I define it? That isn't just about like hot topics, but they're also about like institutional change as
Mm.
the services that you all participate and facilitate every single day. Prime example, right? When Michelle Obama was the first lady, she tried to get school lunches to add more healthy options, right? So vegetables and all of that. The federal government said, nope, if ketchup is on the menu, it is a vegetable, right? Ketchup. If ketchup is on the menu, it is a vegetable. And so, but what many people didn't know is that many states still followed her trend because they were able to make local propositions that enable for them to shift the school lunches in school. So,
Right.
yeah, but if ketchup is on the menu,
I'm listen, I love ketchup and I would love to
but it
say that
ain't a vegetable.
potato, but it's not. Okay.
It's just sugar that's red. It tastes good, but it's just sugar.
Definitely just sugar with a hint of tomato.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, amazing. Well, this was really insightful. Thank you for being patient with me. I tell everyone that because it really takes me a second to process. I mean, I have like 5 other questions that I text you tomorrow, and I'll update everyone with. Hey. But thank you so much. Is there anything that you think I missed, or you want to remind people of before we go?
I mean, the only thing I would say is that, pace yourself. We have less than 20 days for everyone to show up and show out. Pace yourself. Maybe once a day, learn about a new prop, right? Once a day, learning about a legislator. But allow yourself to be prepared going into the voting booth, but don't feel like you need to know every single thing by tomorrow. Like, just pace yourself. We're all learning. I still am learning about things every single day. So don't feel nervous or feel dumb for asking questions that you don't know the answers to.
Amazing. And also, I'm going to tell you guys again, have ballot parties, host ballot parties, get on Zoom with your friends and do
Do
some
happy hours.
Yes, and everyone can be assigned to a different topic, which makes things a lot easier, and you'll get a lot more information that way. Before you go, I'm going to look at these questions in the Q&A box to make sure that we answered all the questions. There's probably some.
Someone said you need to start a podcast. She
Woo!
busy, y'all. Stop giving her more jobs.
Yeah, I mean, I can do this once a week. Maybe when I'm not doing this once a week, I could go over to a podcast. In a Zoom session I was in, they said since the legislation, more POC have been arrested for legalization of weed. I'm confused. Can you explain?
Someone said what?
In a Zoom session I was in, they said since the legalization, more POC have been arrested for it. I'm confused. Can you explain?
Yeah, I mean, it's the prime example that we know police officers don't even know the laws in their own state. That's oftentimes what it is. And they always make assumptions that Black folks don't have representation or don't have people that are going to be that hold them accountable. But it's not because the law itself doesn't agree with them. It's just that police officers are still adhering to their own form of justice. And so the goal is to ensure that folks have access to legal representation. They have access to the information that they need to represent themselves. Prime example, in New York, there's an organization called Good Call, which if you are arrested, you can call them and they will direct you personally to an attorney, because the first 24 hours of your arrest are normally the most critical.
Wow. Wait.
Police ain't shit, basically.
Police not know what the laws are that they're supposed to be enforcing. I don't get it.
Because most of them just have like a high school diploma. No throwing shade to people who just have high school diplomas, but when we have like 16 weeks of training, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
You hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Sorry. You after high school diploma, you said not that there's anything wrong with that, but
yeah, there's nothing wrong with high school diplomas, but when we have people who have one of the highest authoritative jobs in the land, they should be required to have more than just a high school diploma or just like 16 weeks of training that isn't kept up on the local laws that are changing every single day.
Oof. Say it again. Okay. Let me see. Wow, that really just, I'm so upset by that. Okay, is a prop the same thing as a referendum?
Yep. A referendum oftentimes just refers to wanting. So a prop can be, as I said, a new idea or the changing of an existing law, and that's normally a referendum is normally that, the changing of an existing law, something already on the books. Yeah.
See, for being the United States of America, we should probably have a more united way.
Exactly.
Again, I'm just gonna say it because that should just.
Okay. We need a glossary of all the words.
Please. We got some makeup questions in here that I'm not gonna answer. We're on a very different topic, people.
Makeup. Makeup is not on the ballot, but I am wearing Fenty.
Oh yeah, another one. Somebody suggested to watch it. She's gotta have it. Yeah, she's gotta have it. Yes, it was She's Gotta Have It. Yeah. The Spike Lee movie that they remade into a show.
On Netflix.
Yeah, Nala, the main character, deals with gentrification as well in that show, and it's really good. And it breaks down things. I like to learn through like movies because
it's like I need real examples.
Yeah, and I need like a picture. Like I like it to be exciting. Like throw a little sex in there. Throw a little. You know, I need it to be like spicy. That way it keeps my
Keep my attention.
exactly. Okay, amazing. Thank you so much. You guys go follow Jameer. She's incredible, obviously, as you've seen during this live. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and thank you so much for informing us.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, we learned today. We learned today. Same place, same time next week too. Again, if you haven't, can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? It has a loading thing. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Okay, anyway, same time. Cool. Same time next week. If you haven't registered to vote, go to kianaledé.com/vote to register. And you can also request a mail-in ballot, obviously, because of fucking COVID 2020. You can go to ballotready.org and get your cheat sheet ready. Also, do the ballot study parties, do a little Zoom, and just make sure you're prepared to vote and prepared to know this information, because these, as you can see, props are very important. They will affect your daily life. So please, 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 please just be prepared. And have a great rest of your day. I'm going to post this on Instagram on my page with time codes. So share it with your friends if you feel like they need help and they need to know what's going on. Okay. Bye, you guys. See ya.